been so long since I've seen you. Now we're going to look at a second demonstration called Changing the Images. We're going to learn a coding technique that will help us to make our sprites a little more believable and a little more lifelike. We'll use this technique when we want one sprite to have multiple poses or appearances. We can use it with static images, we can use it with sprite sheets, or we can even change back and forth between two or more images or sprite sheets for the same sprite. When we use a sprite with different images, it's a little bit easier than trying to create new and different sprites. We create one sprite and then just change their appearance. And we only have to worry about one variable name. So, what are some examples of when we would want to change a sprite's image while our program is running? We've seen some of these in our demonstrations and in our warm-ups. For instance, maybe in our hedgehog program. When the hedgehog was running, we would want it to have the running animation sheet. But when it stopped, we would want it to have the run pose, but not cycle through. When our frog is jumping, we might want to make him look like this image here, but when he lands on the ground, he would look funny if we left him there. So, I'm pretty sure that frogs don't really stand up on their back legs, so we'd want to make him look like he's sitting down when he touched the ground. Other examples might be when a button's pressed on your keyboard, and we'll learn how to do button clicks and mouse clicks pretty soon. A character's face might change emotions depending on what's happening, or maybe a bird's wings are flapping while it's flying, but when it glides or when it lands, its pose may change. So we're going to switch over to our code right now. We're going to run a little program called the Sleepy Cat. So in your project window, you're looking at Sleepy Cat. Notice that we have multiple images for our cat. We have our cat who's idle. Of course, we have our background. We're not going to scroll it this time. It's just the cat's room. Then we have a cat who's sleepy, and we have a cat who's tired. Okay. So you can look on those. It'll tell you what their sizes are. It'll tell you what their names are. So this one, his eyes are almost closed, and then this one, he's out, and he's put the ball away. So what we want to do is, based on different things that happen in our game or frame rates, we want to create an animation out of this. So run the program now and let's see what it does without any changes. Let's make you a little room over there. Let's get rid of that assignment panel for a minute and close that project panel. All right, and let's run it. So right now we notice we have the cat, and it sits there. And it sits there. And it sits there. And it sits there. But we want to make some changes to that. So we're going to come down here and we're going to follow our example. So we have our windows created up here. Our background is the cat's room. The cat is created initially in his idle position at 330 by 100. Both of those sprites are added to the world. And now we have our frame counter. Remember, we did frame counters way back with our Yeti when we did image layering. As long as our window's running, we're counting up one frame and we're finishing the frame. So what we need to do in the middle is do some checks. So we're going to say if the frame is equal to 50, so we're going to let the cat sit still for about 1.75 seconds. And then we're going to make that cat tired. And the way we do that is we change the cat's image, cat.image. And we give it the image file name as a string. So we're going to say cat tired. .png. Okay, now let's watch that. So we should go about 1.5 seconds in, and boom. So even with just an image swap, it almost looked like in our brains we could see that cat laying down. Okay, he just plopped to the floor. He's getting tired. Now here, we're going to use an equal operator rather than the greater than or equal, because we're going to need to change it again. We only need to change the image once, and then we're going to keep that image. So we don't need to constantly be changing it. If we had a greater than or equal, it's actually going to rewrite that image every single frame. And that's going to take a lot of processing power. So if I want to make another change, we're going to come down here and I'm going to say if the frame, not of the frame, if the frame is equal to 100, cat.image equals cat sleepy.png. We'll go ahead and put that cat to sleep. So 50 frames, cat falls down, 50 frames, cat goes to sleep. So that's all there is to it. Some event needs to just trigger an image swap. So we're not hiding or unhiding. We're not creating a brand new sprite. We're still using the cat. We're just changing the image. So that's the technique called the image change, or changing images. All right, use both of your technique videos, use your notes, and work on both of the practice assignments.